Hey everybody, my name is Michael McDowell, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Leading Rigorous Learning Pathway. Our Leading Rigorous Learning Pathway is focused on supporting systems leaders, site leaders, and also coaches or teachers on special assignment that are leading and supporting others in making sure that they are gaining evidence around student learning, then taking that evidence, determining, okay, what do we need to do to support our students, selecting a particular practice, implementing that practice, and then going back and looking at that evidence. That could be at the systems level. How do we actually create that continuous improvement? And how can we use habit science as a way to be able to embed that particular kind of work? This is all anchored in our work associated with how do students develop the dispositions to be an effective learner, and how do students actually develop across these different types of learning. So knowing things, relating things, and applying things are what we call surface, deep, and transfer. This leadership pathway can be done in a number of different ways. Sometimes we do this through virtual coaching work. Sometimes we do this where we all come together. This could be the whole cabinet. It could be all of our leaders. And we might meet for one day or multiple days to really be able to develop our leadership capacity in being able to support others. When we look at the leadership work, we typically start with what is rigorous teaching and learning. We then look at what are the specific things that we can do at a systems level to be able to help our teachers actually build those professional learning communities to make sure rigorous learning is occurring and that we're seeing improvement. What are those conditions that we can put into place to make sure that we have capacity building and that we have the type of coherence that we need? And then we look at a set of specific habits that leaders can use to make sure that they are in the middle of that teaching and learning, that they're not trying to be the knower or the doer, but they're really trying to help our teaching staff move between the knowledge of evidence into action, and from that action and back into that particular evidence. And so we look at the knowing and doing gap. We look at another gap that comes from a gentleman named Parker Palmer around the tragic gap, and how do we actually lead in the middle of that particular work? So there's an organizational, a team, and a personal leadership component to all of this. And I would say the one last thing around this particular pathway is that everything is incredibly concrete. So while we'll look at a few theoretical frameworks, the idea for leaders, what do I do tomorrow? How do I support my team? With anything we do within this professional learning, we have to make sure that this is something that's small and doable. As a previous principal and assistant superintendent and superintendent, I know how challenging it can be where we go to conferences, we go into sessions, and we have these really great theoretical frameworks like let's do deep learning, but then we sit there and go, but what do I do tomorrow that I can actually support my teams and move the needle? And what I will share with you is that everything we're doing is geared towards that. We're going to look at your local context. We're going to look at small doable practices that you can look at, and we're going to make sure that those small doable practices enhance rigor and also enhance that idea that students and teachers can take more ownership and more agency within their particular work. Thanks, everybody.